Hi, friends. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything. Yeah, I don't know why. Every week I come on here and I'm like, it's an episode, it's an issue, it's something special. I don't know, but all I know is that even though we might not have a title, we show up every week to talk about the things you want to know. So let's dive in and let's get the topic at hand. How to use Instagram stories with an engagement plan without getting overwhelmed. Because I know that Instagram stories, Facebook stories, LinkedIn has stories. Stories are a great way to drive engagement, but sometimes it's easy to feel completely overwhelmed when it comes to doing them because, at least what I hear often, is I don't know what to say, Jasmine, or my life isn't interesting, and or my friends and family think it's really weird that I'm always talking about my life and my business and things that I like to do. Those are the most common pressure points that I hear from business owners, and all I want to do is talk about how to make stories easy and effective and drive engagement. So let's boil it down to two main things. Number one, I want you to speak to your dream customer. Like, basically, this means know who you're talking to. Because I know that temptation is to make stories for anybody and everybody who could be prospective customers. And I want you to tell you, resist that temptation. It is totally okay, and I beg you to speak to a person who you believe is your dream customer. Because when you speak to your dream customer, when you talk about things that they want to talk about, and when you make social references to things happening in culture that they will appreciate, that will get them talking back to you. Because I want to remind people to resist the urge to make it complicated. All I want you to do is start the conversation. Now, you don't need to start the conversation with every single Instagram follower that you have or every single Facebook follower that you have who's following your stories. You do not need to talk to everybody, but you do need to speak to one person, your dream customer. And funny enough, the people who get you and know you and like you, they'll start talking back to you. But then the question then becomes, okay, if you're going to be talking to one person, I don't want you to wait for engagement. I want you to drive engagement. And the only way you can drive engagement is if, number one, you know who you're talking to. That will make you confident. And when you say, Jasmine, I'm not really sure I know who I'm talking to, friends, take the time. If you go to jasminestar.com/ideal client, I'll give you a free worksheet on how to know who you're talking to. This is the foundation of your business. So once you know who you're talking to, don't wait like, oh, I wish they talk back to me. No, drive that engagement. So you might be thinking, okay, Jasmine, I know who I'm talking to. I'm ready to find it out. How do you drive engagement? We're going to get into the step number 2 is to use Instagram engagement tools. Now you might be like, yo, Jasmine, what are Instagram engagement tools? Well, the good thing is that Facebook has virtually the same engagement tools. So I'm going to break them down for you because it's not enough. I'm going to say it. I was going to stop myself, but I'm going to make sure I'm going to say it. It's not enough to post Instagram stories. It's not enough to post Facebook stories. I want you to post stories that drive engagement. And I'm going to walk you through the tools. Now, I'm going to show you right now what you can find on Instagram. So you go to Instagram stories, you'll go to Facebook stories, and you'll pop up these tools. Now what you'll see, I'm showing you Instagram right now. The top 3, those are what I would call Instagram discovery tools. Like, these are the things that you're going to use to get your account discovered. Location, like that's your geotag, an @mention, or a hashtag. Now if you geotag your Instagram story, can populate in the other Instagram stories at that exact location. That's really cool for people to discover you. An @mention, let's say you're at a coffee shop and you @mention that coffee shop, they get it and they could repurpose it on their stories, which could get your account discovered. The hashtag, which is the third Instagram discovery tool, is by you putting a hashtag, your story can be discovered by other people using that same hashtag. Those are what I call discovery tools. Now let's dive into Instagram engagement tools. Now look at the bottom 6: poll, questions, countdown, the slider, quiz, and chat. All 6 of those things, Instagram has given us a gift. Instagram is saying, and Facebook has very similar tools. They're saying, hey, we want to know if people are engaging in your stories. So we're going to give you tools to help the algorithm measure it. So if you were to use like a poll and you have like a yes or no, the people who take any vote, I'm talking about any vote, they vote yes, no, hell yes, heck no. They take an action that's indicating to the algorithm that they're paying attention to your story. If you put a chat, or excuse me, yeah, if you put, let's say you put a chat here, you want to chat. People who respond to that chat, now the chat feature is not rolled out to everybody, but to the people it is rolled out, they limit the chats to 30 people. I think it's 30 or 31 people. This automatically becomes a string of direct messages of people talking about the same thing. And you can end those chats anytime you want. So, all of these tools are going to drive engagement. This is your way to say, hey, I don't have to sit here and hope anymore. I can use like stories to drive business. So I want you to use the story engagement tools with a strategy, right? Who are you talking to? What do they want to know? And why should they care? It's not enough. No, remember, we went through the first two things. Number one is know who you're talking to. Talk to your dream customer. Number two is use those Instagram engagement tools to drive engagement. But it's not just enough anymore to drive engagement. People want to know, why should I vote on this poll? Who are you really talking to? Does this poll help me, benefit me, make me laugh, intrigue me? Is it inspirational? Is it aspirational? Your stories should be very pointed as to what you want prospective customers to see about you, know about you, or trust about you. So my question, friend, comes, do you have an Instagram stories engagement strategy? Do you have a Facebook story strategy? Do you have a LinkedIn story strategy? Because if you don't have a strategy or you don't have a plan, chances are you're not going to get people talking back to you. People may watch your stories, but they're not engaging. So how do you know if people are engaging? Like, how do you know how to get people to talk, to engage with you? Oh, if they talk back to you. You know that your stories are engaging based on the behaviors of people. Can I get an amen? Am I talking too fast? Like, if you're here and this is making sense, can you like co-sign? Because if I'm moving too fast, I'll slow down. If I'm not moving fast enough, I'll speed on up. I am here for you. So you let me know, and I want to make sure that we're really driving this conversation, because you will know if your stories are engaging if people talk back to you. Now, they might not send you DM. We want a DM. We want a PM on Facebook. We want a DM on Instagram, right? We want that. We might not get it. But if they're voting on polls, if they're using the slider bar, if they're voting, if they're answering questions to your quizzes, they are talking back to you. And when people talk back to you, can I get an amen? If you want people talking back to you, please write amen so I know that I am in the church of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Hey, okay, great. So now that we are on the same page, thank you for having fun with me, because like literally I'm sitting in a living room talking to the internet. So when you talk back to me, it makes me feel like we're at happy hour. Okay, so one thing I want to be very clear is I spent months testing my theories and my engagement strategy, right? So it's not like one day I just woke up and I was like, oh, hey, these are Instagram discovery tools, and oh, hey, these are engagement tools. When I saw these new features rolling out, my objective was to be like, whoa, let me go in and let me test. Let me see what people want to know. Let me see how I use it for my business. I only ever preach or talk about things that I am doing. If you go to my Instagram stories, you will see me use the slider. If you see me go to the Instagram stories, you will see me do a poll, do a quiz, ask questions. You will see me do everything that I am showing you to do, but I have tested it to say, oh, that one didn't work really well. Or, oh, this is how I should be asking the question. Or, oh, hey, if I do this type of poll, it's going to excite people to answer it more. So all of these strategies I have tested and done myself. Now, followers, this is what I discovered, is that followers, your followers, my followers, they want to engage with content that feels like you care. Now, please note that they don't want to engage with content that feels like you care about your business. They know you care about your business. They know you care about your family. They know that you care about where you went on vacation. They want to engage with stories that lets them know they care about who? them. Your Instagram stories are all about them. Now, I should take a step back. Your Instagram stories, your Facebook stories, your LinkedIn stories are all about them if you're using your account for business. Now, if you have a personal account and it's just about your personal life, like, go on, boo, you do you. If you're trying to use social media on behalf of your business and you want customers, they care about stories that are about them, that empower them, inspire them, help them, motivate them, create aspirational, educational, helpful things. That's what they care about. So let me save you lots of time. If your stories aren't really driven to helping or educating or making something fun or aspirational or teaching them or empowering them, you're going to have a hard time having people engage with it. Now, I don't know about you, but I want engagement. Like, if you want engagement, can you co-sign? Can you leave? I don't know. I don't care what you leave me. Leave me an emoji, a thumbs up, a happy face. I care about engagement. Not because engagement wants to make me feel popular. I care about engagement because engagement is a very clear indication to me that I am serving my audience in a way they want to be served. That's all engagement is. So when I get engagement, I'm just like, oh, dude, this is the map. My question to you is, what content are you putting out that is providing a map for your followers to engage with you? Now, whenever I tell people this, the thing I hear is, Jasmine, I tried stories and it doesn't work for me. Jasmine, I tried stories. They just take so much time. And I get that. Like, that struggle is real. The struggle of not knowing what to say, of not knowing taking time, like, I get that. But I will say that I used to feel the same, but when I had an engagement strategy, it completely changed it. And then what I started to do is I started creating templates. Now, I can create templates, like I can save a story, I can design it in Photoshop, I can design it in Canva, and I would be using these templates on days that I was really busy or I didn't have time. Or maybe I was going on vacation and I was just like, I'm going to be traveling. Let me have a cache of templates that I can use for Instagram stories to keep driving that engagement and serve my audience at the same time. I became a big fan of this. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see that I post stories that have text on top of them, do polls just so that I can talk to people. And my social curators started asking to share the templates because they're like, Jasmine, we see you using stories all the time. And we see you showing up every single day. And we know that people are engaging because we know that we're voting. And like, how are you doing this? And like, can you help us do this? And I was like, okay, like, let me see if I can do this. Let me see like what I can do to help. And so I shared them. And then there's people like Kayla Joy. She said, y'all, this system works. We just gained over 25 followers in less than 24 hours. And 2 people shared her Instagram post and they got 25 new followers and 3 new sales. In 24 hours, 3 sales, 25 new followers, and 2 shares. So I am very confident in saying that like the stories approach that I taught myself, tested myself, shared with others is actually working really well. So this month on the Inside a Social Curator, we decided to create a series of Instagram story templates that people can customize or they can use as inspiration based on the things that I have tested and have worked really well for a business. So these are stories that they're teaching you, designed already for you, where you can drive those Instagram engagement tools with the voting, with the slider. What we want to know is we have framed up the types of questions you should be asking and the types of questions that really drive that engagement, that incentivize people to vote, right? Because when they vote, what happens? Oh, it impacts the algorithm. Anytime somebody engages with your stories, your Instagram stories, there's a higher likelihood that when they go into the Instagram feed, your post will show up sooner. Why? Because you've indicated to the algorithm that you're voting and or you care about the stories that this person is putting out. Now, here's another example. We have multiple stories that you can add your quiz and fill in the blanks so people can vote in the app. And then we have designed ways for them to inspire a DM back to you. So we put these out. I have been using them. I know that it works really well. I know that it's worked for my business. I started sharing them with curators. It started working well in their business. Alexandra made $297 in just minutes. She's like, I followed JStar tips for IG stories on how to craft a narrative without being a talking head. And it just made me $297. So like, what the heck is going on, right? Like, we know that Instagram stories are powerful, but if you have not experienced that level of power, my question then becomes to you, do you have an Instagram story plan and strategy? Because if you don't, this whole month on the Inside of Social Curator, we're talking about done for you story templates that drive your engagement. And what we do is we offer the templates, but we also offer scripts. Like if you're saying, Jasmine, I don't want to use like those templates you created. I want to create my own templates. Great. Or Jasmine, I'm really good on camera and I want to just talk to the camera, but I don't know what to say. Great. We'll give you scripts. All we are doing this month is asking people show up. There should be no excuses why people are not showing up on Instagram stories to drive their business. If you would like to join us on the Inside of Social Curator, you can do that at socialcurator.com/join. And you can join people who jumped from 1,000 pounds a month to 6,000 pounds in a month. And she just tipped the 6th figure this month. I owe a lot of that to Social Curator. Thank you, y'all. Now it's time to get into your questions and answers. That's what we want to do. I show up live every week. Most of the time I do a free form, ask me anything, questions, and then once a month or twice a month, I go in and I go deep on a singular topic. This week's topic, we decided to go deep on Instagram stories because y'all, I want to shout it from the rooftops. Stories are the most valuable property on the monopoly game of Instagram. Was that too many things that I just combined there? I'm gonna say it again a little bit slower. Instagram stories are like the boardwalk on the monopoly of Instagram. Like so few people are using them that so many people are watching them and actually engaging. And it, my friends, is a game changer. So shout out to Jennifer Ratkins, who's been part of the Social Curator community, and Paige Wright. Thank you, babe. Thank you for supporting. Okay, let's get into your Q&A. Ashley Ward said, I read an article from Facebook today on how hashtags work within Facebook. In the past, I think you mentioned hashtags aren't great for Facebook and are more for Instagram. I think I'm confused. Do you advise hashtags in Facebook? Now, I want to let's go back. Well, that was upvoted 12 times. For those of you guys who are new here, I answer questions that are the most popular questions because it indicates that people want to know the answer to that. Purely democracy, y'all. I have no agenda. I answer questions as I get them. So hashtags on Facebook, I want to be very clear. I've just not been a fan of hashtags on Facebook because as you see them in the post, it becomes very cluttered and they're not that effective. At least I have not experienced them to be effective. But that's not enough of an answer to Ashley to actually figure out, should she be using hashtags? So I want to give a little bit of I'm losing my voice, man. I'm shouting from the rooftops for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'll be here all day. Yes. Let's dive into Promo Republic. While Twitter might show you every recent tweet with a hashtag, Facebook can bring up different information. This puts all the more emphasis on using hashtags correctly on Facebook because it isn't similar to Twitter's system. That, my friends, is a much smarter way than me having an emotional perspective. So when you use hashtags on Instagram and when you use hashtags on Twitter, what it does, like if we go on Instagram, it will bring up the most popular posts and then it will bring up the most recent post. And it's just chronological order of every person who's used that hashtag in the duration in which they're using that hashtag. On Facebook, Facebook doesn't just automatically pull everybody who's using that hashtag. It pulls like a conglomerate. It doesn't do it chronologically. It kind of guesstimates what post would be applicable, which is why it's really, really, really a lot more important for people to be using hashtags that are very specific on Facebook because Facebook aggregates the information. It just doesn't show you all the information. So to me, it's just harder to get naturally discovered and it clogs up a post. If you know your dream audience is on Facebook and you believe they're searching hashtags on Facebook, use them. It's great. It's another mechanism. From my experience trying to use a hashtag on Facebook, I have not found what I was looking for. And so I don't use them because I don't think my dream customer goes to Facebook and searches hashtags. But that doesn't mean yours doesn't. Maybe yours does. I'm just saying from my personal experience, that is my opinion. How many of you guys, I would love to know right now, are you using hashtags on Facebook? Like, let me know. I would really love to totally know that. Okay, let's dive into another question. This was upvoted 9 times from Sabrina Collins Hayes. How do I have 58 people view one part of a story and the other 25, and only 25 the other parts of the same story that is 4 clips? It seems like the last one has so many more people and I'm confused how. I don't use hashtags in my stories, so I know that's not it. Okay, so Sabrina's question was upvoted 9 times, and then people left comments saying, I want to know the same thing. Like, how is this happening? So, number 1, Sabrina said she does not use hashtags. So if she had used hashtags in that post, it'd have a higher likelihood of being seen. I don't know if Sabrina used a geotag. Remember how earlier in this conversation, I talked about Instagram discovery tools? If she had used a hashtag, a geotag, or an @mention, she has a higher likelihood of that story being seen by more people. I don't know what she used or what she didn't use, but she says she didn't use hashtags. Another possibility could be that one story somehow got featured on an Explore tab. If Sabrina has a public profile, which she does, because I was like, I want to go check out her stories to see why, I went over to her Instagram account today and I looked through her stories and I looked through her account. Sabrina has, like, at the time I looked, 158 followers. And I was like, okay. Now, Sabrina also offered this on my Facebook page. She said, I want to show you proof. So let's go in. Let's take a look at this. What you're looking at right now is Sabrina's stories got viewed 27 times, 29, 27, and then that one story got 70 views. And she's like, whoa, how did that happen? Now, I want to poke out right here. Do you see the followers underneath here? Mick, Julianne, Kent Speakman, Susie Moore. Okay, so then what I did, because I'm a total creeper, is I looked at that story. And she had 70-something views, and her other stories had 20, and then it showed who viewed that story. So then I went to her follower list on Instagram. I clicked on her follower list, and I looked. Was Mick following her? Was YB Wellness following her? Was Susie Moore following her? All the people that Instagram showed saw her story were not following her. So that's a clear indication that that particular story must have been featured elsewhere, or perhaps, I don't know, Sabrina was engaging with somebody else's account and it sparked something to drive traffic over to Sabrina's account randomly. So for instance, Sabrina, let's just say I go live on Instagram every Tuesday and every Friday. Let's say on Tuesday, you were watching my Instagram stories and you were watching my Instagram live. And maybe you left a comment on my live. People who were watching the live could click on your comment and go to your account and randomly see your stories. And maybe your others had expired and the last one had it. There's a lot of reasons how or why this could happen. And for everybody, it could be totally different. There isn't a concrete reason as to why. Or perhaps sometimes people are watching stories, they swipe away, and then an hour later they come back, but they might have swiped away from these other stories, but this last one was a news story that they all ended up landing on. So there's a lot of ways to get there. Is this confusing? I don't want to confuse anybody. Like, can you let me know, like, does this make sense? And if it does not make sense, please ask me to let me know. Okay. Oh, yes. Kimberly says that she creeps for fake accounts and she blocks them. This is very good. Okay, let's go into our next question that was upvoted 12 times. What do you do when you're asking the right questions and just aren't getting engagement? Feels more forced the more I ask when no one responds. But they like the photos, so I don't know. Okay, Ariel. I love this question, and a lot of people like this question too. But here's the thing. I can't tell you why people are not leaving a comment. I can't tell you why people aren't leaving a question. And guess what? You don't know the answer either. So instead of wasting any time or any energy on what we don't know, I am going to invite you to control what you can control. Because what did you say? You said, well, people are liking the photo. They're not leaving a comment. Awesome. There are some people who can't even get people to like their photos. So you're already on the right track. So let's take a deep breath. Let's express gratitude and thankfulness for the people who are liking the photo. Because there was a time when people weren't liking your photos, and there was a time when people weren't liking mine. So we're good. We're on the right track. Okay. So if people are liking the photos, how do you move them into leaving comments? My advice is turn your likes into comments. So how do you do this? Well, you start conversations. So if I were you, I would go to my Instagram account, I would click on who liked that post. If they liked that post, I would go to their account and I would like one of their photos to reciprocate what they did on my account. And then I would leave a comment. Why, Jasmine? Why would you do that? I am starting the type of engagement that I want. And if you have 20 people that liked your photo and didn't leave a comment, go to 20 people's accounts, like a photo, and leave a comment. You have to start the conversations that you want on somebody else's account, and that will then reciprocate to yours. I promise you. I don't do magic. I don't pull rabbits out of a hat, but this stinking works. Now, I am not saying that if you go and you leave 20 comments, you'll get 20 comments. Statistically, you'll leave 20 comments and you'll get 2 comments. But then this just becomes a number. This becomes a game of numbers. How you show up for people is how people will show up for you. It's like the freaking Instagram, Facebook golden rule. That is just truth talk. So if you aren't getting comments, my question to you is, how many comments did you leave for somebody else? R.L. Reynolds said, wow, that makes so much sense. Thank you, homie. I appreciate you being here and co-signing on this somewhat what appears to be insanity, but is actually real talk sanity. I see you. Okay, cool. Great. I'm so glad. Kayla Joy said that this makes it so much easier. Great. We're all about driving that engagement. We're going to get into Kelly Miller's question. She says, is 3 coffees too much for one day? I want an iced coffee after seeing this image. And Kelly was talking about this image. And in case anybody is knowing or wondering, 3 coffees is the norm. Actually, let me know. How many coffees do you drink in a day? I want to know if I drink too much. Maybe I need to go to like a caffeine anonymous group. How many cups of coffee do you drink? Maybe I'm alone. Maybe I drink too much. Maybe I drink by myself. I want to know. Help me get some better understandings for this. Okay, let's go into the next question from Sandy Adams. She writes, does anyone use their Instagram stories on Facebook stories as well? You can post your Instagram stories to Facebook at the same time that you post an Instagram from within the Instagram app itself. Anyone's thoughts? Okay, Sandy Adams. I want to first preface this answer by saying my opinion should have no bearing on what you do. It is just my opinion. However, I'm pretty staunch about my opinion. I have come to believe, and you have heard me say it 1,000 times before, but just in case you're new to this neighborhood, I encourage people to keep content native to each platform. So what does this mean? What does native mean? I believe that Instagram stories should stay on Instagram stories. And I believe that Facebook stories should stay on Facebook stories. And I believe that LinkedIn stories should stay on LinkedIn stories. Now people are like, but wait, Jasmine, that's so much extra work. Maybe. But when Sandy left this question, people left comments beneath and they were like, I always share my Instagram stories to Facebook, but I've noticed that my Instagram stories get 10 times the amount of engagement. Duh. Why do you think that's the case? Because the Instagram stories were native to Instagram. That anytime you use an Instagram engagement tool, like we just spoke about earlier, anytime you use the slider, the poll, the quiz, the chat, it works on Instagram, and if you automatically push it to Facebook, it don't work there. So it's like you're telling your Facebook friends, your Facebook audience, I'm really partying on stories over here on Instagram, but y'all get the sloppy seconds. Who's going to engage with a conversation that looks like it's just doubled it? Who's going to engage with a conversation that doesn't feel native to the platform? That's like me and you having a conversation at a coffee shop, and then you ask me, I don't know why that guy sitting at the next table isn't talking to us. Of course the guy sitting at the next table isn't talking to us. He's eavesdropping on our conversation, but we weren't inviting him into our conversation because you and I are having a conversation on Instagram stories and he's eavesdropping from Facebook stories. Why is he going to pop in our conversation? He doesn't feel like this party's here for him. I just said I wasn't going to get all lit up about it. I just said that. But sorry, I am Puerto Rican and it just comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just speak my truth. Like, don't be lazy. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, here's the thing. I'm staunch about it. I'm really staunch about it. But if you're saying, Jasmine, my stories work just as well on Instagram as they do on Facebook, great. You do you. Awesome. Your audience is ready and prepped for that. I'm just saying, based on my vast amount of experience, both as a content creator, as a business owner, and as a freaking user, I hate when people will, you guys remember back in the day when Snapchat was all the rage and then Instagram stories came out and people were just repurposing their Snapchat stories. They were downloading their Snapchat stories and then putting them on Instagram stories. But here's the thing is that people were talking to their friends in Snapchat in a certain way. The language, the vernacular, all that other stuff. Like people would say, hey, snappy people, hey, Snapchatters, hey, Snap, hey, Snapland. And they were on Instagram stories. Who's going to engage with somebody who's talking to somebody else in Snapchat on Instagram? And guess what? People got wise to the game and they realized I should probably be creating stories that are native to this platform because this is where people are. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, so every week we pop in, we as in me, myself, and I, and my multiple personalities, and we just have conversations. We have conversations, and today we focused on a topic. Once or twice a month, I go deep on a topic that I just get a ton of questions about, a topic that I feel really confident about, a topic that I have tested about. Now, we started this conversation with how to use Instagram stories with an engagement plan without overwhelm. And then I walked you through with how I'm providing Instagram story templates for our users so that they have no excuse not to show up. That's what we did. On the Inside of Social Curator this month, that is where you'll find everything. For those of you who tune in every week, thank you so much for this. I am here to serve you. Always from a place of humility and hunger and desire to shift something in you from unbelief to belief. From being unconfident to being confident. That's my superpower. Do you not know that it wasn't until 2019 that I realized I'm not just like good at business. I'm not just good at marketing. I'm like average. Like, yeah, no, I'm above average. I'm a little above average. What I'm really good at is calling people out on the fact that they won't pursue what they love because of fear. I have been put on this earth to empower people to believe that an impossible situation is actually possible for them if they put in the work, if they have the right tools, and if they remain undaunted and unshackled to the fear in their hearts. That, my friends, is what I've been put on this earth to do, and that is why I continue to show up, have conversations, answer questions, show up live, put this on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter. I'll show up where the people are as a place of help and dedication. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will be back next week.